Bridges are an amazing leg exercise as long as you do them correctly. Today I'm going to go over 7 different bridge variations, explain the difference between each, and how to maneuver through them through your workouts. Always start with the basic bridge variation first and use that to perfect your form. Use this variation to practice arching your butt back and not tucking your pelvis under. If you tuck your pelvis under, you'll be skipping your leg muscles altogether and not using your glutes properly, which are going to lead to joint problems over time. Lastly, make sure that you're pushing your weight through both your arch and the heel of your foot, not just your toes, to make sure that your muscles are working evenly. Once you perfect the basic bridge, start adding in frog pumps to your workouts. I love this variation because it focuses on your inner thighs and outer glutes, both of which muscle groups are hard to reach. Make sure you don't let your ankles collapse on this exercise, otherwise they'll be taking in all the weight instead of your leg muscles. This is a perfect exercise to add in with sumo squats or side lunges to perfect your inner thighs. The band bridge is an awesome exercise that beginners can do to light up their glutes a little bit more. Unlike the frog pumps, make sure that you're keeping your feet flat and all the way together. While keeping your feet flat, arches down, then you're gonna pull your knees as wide as you can to get the most glute activation. Single leg bridges are my favorite variation to hit your hamstrings. Single leg exercises are always gonna be a little bit harder because you have to stabilize your pelvis. You're gonna do that by pulling your opposite hip forward while you're bridging up. That way the weight goes into your glute, not your lower back. Also make sure that you're pushing your weight evenly through your feet and your arch and your heel are down. That'll pull your knee in just a little bit to hit the inner thigh and the quad a little bit more. You know you're doing it right when your hamstring starts to cramp. The elevated single leg bridge is going to be very similar to the last, but it is a little bit more advanced because it requires a little bit more stability from your muscles, and it's going to get a little bit more glute activation because of the bigger range of motion. Try and keep your foot flat on the bench to get the most hamstring activation out of it. And then same rules apply. Try and keep the arch down, the heel down, the knee in, and pull the opposite hip forward while you're raising up. The bench single leg bridge is actually the hardest variation, but I want you to start with this before you move to the barbell hip thrust for 2 reasons. First, we all have one leg that's stronger than the other. That's why I want the single leg exercises to help even you out. Otherwise, when we're doing the 2-legged exercises, the strong side will keep getting stronger and the weak side will still stay weak. So we need to even that out first. Second, if your inner thighs and hamstrings aren't working properly and you're glute dominant, then the heavy weight is gonna just make your glutes bigger and stronger and your inner thighs and hamstrings will stay weaker. You always want perfect balance with all the muscles, and not just because it's more aesthetically pleasing, but because it'll help you avoid injury over time. Once you've perfected the bridge form, it's finally time to hit beast mode with the barbell hip thrust. Rarely do I see somebody doing the barbell hip thrust perfectly, so let's go through form one more time. First, make sure you're sticking your butt back, arching your back, and not tucking your pelvis under. You want to feel it in your quads, hamstrings, and inner thighs, along with your glutes. Make sure your feet are straight. Normally, people are caving their heels in. That way, you're not going to get your outside glute and outside quad activated. Feet straight. Make sure your arches and your heels are down, not just pushing through your toes, otherwise your hamstrings and your glutes can't get activated. Make sure your knees are coming in just a little bit to make sure that you're hitting the inner thigh and the inner quad as well. And finally, I can't stress this enough. You can't have the perfect glutes without having the perfect legs. They all work together. So if you want the perfect glutes, make sure your form is perfect. Then you'll get the perfect body. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, make sure you leave a comment below and make sure you hit that subscribe button for more tips on how to get the perfect body.